What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. I hope all of you had a wonderful weekend. If you're here in the United States, we had a holiday weekend. We had a 3-day weekend because of Martin Luther King Day. And unfortunately, it was also Inauguration Day yesterday. So that was that. But, anyways, I hope you all had a great weekend. I hope you all had a great start to your week. I'm sure for a lot of you here in the States, it's a shorter week than normal. But it's going to be a fun one if you are a movie fan like I am, because this Thursday, the Oscar nominations are going to be announced this morning. Now, obviously, there's a lot of discourse online about whether or not this award ceremony should continue or not. People are also saying that the voting may be skewed because of certain members of the Academy choosing not to vote, or maybe cannot vote because they're dealing with all the troublesome fires in LA right now. And I'm sure some of them were affected by all of that. So this could be a very interesting award ceremony and voting period once the nominations are announced. I believe the voting for the nominations closed up on, I think it was late last week or Monday or something like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see who made the cut and who didn't. But I'll be going over my predictions later on this afternoon, or this evening, depending on where you're hailing from. And yeah, so that should be a lot of fun, and we'll do that here live on the stream, along with talking about the usual box office breakdown and the like that. So, Jester's in the house. Nice seeing you, Jester. I'm glad you made it. I know you're dealing with some snow in Georgia, out of all places. I hope it's not too terrible down there. We had our snow a couple days ago here. If you look out the window, you could still see there's remnants of snow on the ground. Mainly because it's been freezing here in New York. It's been for like the last couple of nights, it's been in the teens here in weather-wise. Fahrenheit. I don't know Celsius for my international viewers and all that. Currently right now it's 20 degrees and it's been freezing cold. So we are in Hoth. But it's also very common whenever my birthday comes around, because my birthday is always going to be freezing. I was born during a blizzard, guys. So I apologize. I feel like I'm responsible for bringing the cold tundra around. But anyways, Kevin Davis is also in the building. Oscar nominations predictions. Okay, let's see. Let's hear his. Emilia Perez, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, Conclave. I'm guessing you're talking about Best Picture nominations. Like I said, I will go into my predictions later on in the stream. So you'll probably be surprised that I'm not that far off from what you're thinking. But anyway, Jester is also here with his weekly Jester movie recap. Jester, hit us. Let us know what you watched recently. I do follow you on Letterboxd, even though you don't follow me. So I do see on occasion what you do watch. So I think I have a feeling what you're going to be bringing up, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it live here on the stream when you talk about that. Also, because of the unfortunate passing of David Lynch last week, RIP to a legendary director. During my birthday weekend, I allowed myself the time to watch some of his classic films, one of which I've never watched before, and two, I guess you could kind of call it rewatches. I'll explain. But on my birthday, I watched The Elephant Man. Then on Saturday, I watched Blue Velvet. And then yesterday, Monday, I watched Mulholland Drive. Now, I guess depending on who you talk to, who are fans of David Lynch or who are cinephiles and all, they would say any of those three movies are probably his best movies, right? Maybe throw in Eraserhead in there. Some people may think Lost Highway is a good one. I have yet to see Lost Highway. That's like one of his films I've never had a chance to see as of yet. So that's something that I would love to remedy soon. And Eraserhead's another movie I haven't had a chance to see. I believe that was his first film. But Elephant Man, I watched when I was young, really young. It came out in 1980, and I believe I saw it like around 82 on home video because my mom rented it, and she was watching it. And I watched it with her. Now, 82, that means I was 4 years old, if that was the time. So I really don't remember a lot of it. But when I rewatched it, this is my first time rewatching it since then. There are moments in the movie that I do recall seeing on the screen on TV when we were watching it on video. But as an older person, as someone who can actually understand what's happening, uh, I personally think this is one of my favorite Lynch's films ever made. It is a little bit macabre, but it is also very emotional. And I wasn't expecting to cry during it, and I did. And when you watch it now, of course, you're going to say, well, the prosthetics, the makeup looks kind of dated, right? But it's the brilliant acting of John Hurt that really stands out. Really, really stands out. And he made me believe that, this person existed, because it is based on a true story. There was a guy who had that deformity, and Lynch pretty much based his movie off of this person. I also love the multitude of disclaimers, how this has nothing to do with the Broadway play that happened to come out around the same time when this movie came out, and all that. So he really wanted this movie to stand on its own. But it was, we see a very, very young Anthony Hopkins in there. Even though he's a very young Anthony Hopkins, he has all his Hopkins trademarks as far as acting is concerned. But yeah, it was very emotional and very, very moving, and shot very beautifully too. Even though it is in black and white, you do get a sense of a lot of the early David Lynch tropes and his style that carries on with him throughout his career. So I really, really enjoyed that. Then I saw Blue Velvet for the first time on Saturday. I wasn't sure what to expect with this one. And the one thing that really stood out to me is how funny it was. I found myself laughing quite a bit throughout the movie. And it does kind of show you his darker sense of humor. For those of you who may not know, Blue Velvet takes place in suburban America. And it's really, in a way, like a coming of age kind of movie, with the lead character coming into his own as he's growing up, as he's transitioning from, childhood, teenager to becoming an adult. And it's really like a deep exploration of what lures us to our curiosities, whether it be just normal curiosities or even on the sexual side of things. And you could see the contrasting between those who are deep into certain desires and how that plays with us and how that shapes and forms us, as we move on in life. And it's very, very interesting tale. Also kind of tells you how, even though everything looks clean and nice on the surface, deep down there's an underbelly of darkness and evil anywhere you go, and it's just, I feel like it's kind of a movie that's way ahead of its time. And I feel like Lynch was definitely way ahead of his time during making this movie. And then you fast forward, and then you have Mulholland Drive. And I remember watching it once when I worked at Blockbuster Video. It was one of the first movies I rented. When I used to work at Blockbuster Video, they allowed you 5 free rentals a week when it comes to older movies. And I rented that. And I remember watching it, and I was extremely confused by the whole thing. I got some of it, but at the same time, I was like, I don't understand what this movie is trying to say overall. Watching it now, as I'm older and as I'm more familiar with film, I find it to be a very, very brilliant film that kind of displays the dark side of the Hollywood dream, right? And this is the kind of movie that's very hard to talk about without spoiling anything. So I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the performance in it are great. His directing and his use of symbolism is very, very brilliant at times, with the colors of red and blue dictating what's reality and what's dream. And it makes me think about the Matrix, right? With, the blue pill, red pill. And I do think the Wachowskis probably borrowed a lot of Lynch's idealisms when it comes to his film, because this is a recurring theme in a lot of his films, especially when it comes to like dream states or the space in between dream and reality. If you've watched Twin Peaks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's always like, what's behind the red curtain, right? And there's a lot of that kind of symbolism in there. And yeah, it was just it's amazing how when you rewatch something later on in life, how it could hit you very differently. And Mulholland Drive is definitely one of those films that warrants conversation afterwards. And it's just brilliantly done, and again, it just shows you Lynch is probably too smart for his own good when it comes to creativity. And you have to appreciate that from him. And it was just such a well done film that probably was not appreciated at the time it came out. So I'm sure now, because of his unfortunate passing, a lot of people are catching up on his films. One thing I will say is that I never had a chance to really watch Twin Peaks. So I feel like now I would love to have that moment to finally get to do that. So hopefully that'll be my next thing. And again, catch up on some of his films that I've been missing out on, like Lost Highway or Eraserhead, which I haven't had a chance to see yet. Wild at Heart is another one that a lot of people love talking about. So those are just some of the things that I was able to catch up to during the past week, especially during my birthday weekend and all that, So, but I'll talk about another thing that wrapped up that I saw last week. But let me just catch up with the chat real quick. Kevin Davis continues on his predictions. Wicked will get Oscar nominations, but its momentum, it has fallen off. I do agree with that. But again, it's going to be interesting to see who shows up to vote this time around. Because like I said, of all the things happening in LA right now, there's been a lot of discourse about whether or not this award show should continue. Jester saying, I can't find you on Letterboxd. I keep typing LOWKEY Geek, but nothing comes up. That's because it is under the LOWKEY Geek, one word. Unfortunately, someone else already took my name, so I had to put the in front of it. So if you want to follow me there, you could do so from looking that way. Jester saying, okay, here are the movies I've seen this week for the first time. Drum roll, please. I don't have that, but I do have this. Interstellar, The Black Phone, 500 Days of Summer, A Real Pain, Blowout, and The Princess Diaries. I was forced to watch it, he said. All right. So I need to hear your thoughts, Jester, on Interstellar, 500 Days of Summer, A Real Pain, which is like one of my favorite movies of last year, and Blowout, because a lot of people refer to Blowout. Just this past week, you may have seen the video on the channel where I had a chance to rewatch I'm Still Here, a Brazilian movie by director Walter Salles with Fernanda Torres, and they did a great Q&A. But they referred to Blowout quite a bit during that conversation. Arnold's also in the house. Brother, I miss you. How you doing? I'm doing all right, man. How was your birthday? Hope it was truly beautiful. Look, it was simple. I'll just say, like, I was not in the mindset of doing anything extravagant. I wasn't in the mindset of partying or anything like that. I think I'm getting too old for that. So I kept it extremely simple. I hung out. I watched a bunch of movies. I ordered some food. And I just relaxed. I just relaxed. I have to be careful also with what I do because my next couple of months are going to be extremely busy. And I'm sure it's going to be financially overwhelming as well. So I'm trying to save money to be able to enjoy some of the things I'll be doing in the next couple of months. Also, convention season starting, so I'm going to be, going around and helping my friend out with his business at the comic book conventions for the next several months now. Yeah, so that's going to be really, really interesting. So I just kept it, pretty simple. So, and you know what? I didn't mind it one bit. I really didn't mind it at all. So I thought it was very good. I'm also noticing, for some strange reason, the Oscar statue behind me is crooked. And I get into this mode where little things like that bother the hell out of me. So give me 1 second as I attempt to fix this. Uh because I don't know, it's bothering me. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to be any better. Or maybe I'm just nuts. Uh Bear with me for a sec. I know I shouldn't be doing this live on stream. It's not very professional of me. So I apologize. Let's see. I think that looks better. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. We'll leave it at that. All right. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this has just been a day of like unfortunate technical mishaps. It is what it is. All right, going to Jester. I'll start with Interstellar. This movie, it was a roller coaster. It was a lot of sitting in space, but it said so much with saying so little dialogue. Me personally, I rated it a 5 out of 5. I say this, I've said this multiple times already. This is my favorite Christopher Nolan film to date. The emotion behind it all, at the end of the day, it's about connection, it's about love, it's about relationship. How far will you go to show your love, to protect the ones you love? It's just, I didn't appreciate it the time I saw it when it first came out in the theater. Watching it now, it can show up anytime, and I will stop what I'm doing and I will just watch it. It is just such a well-written story from beginning to end. And the use of, space, time, traveling, physics, all of those things. It's just, at first, when you watch it at first, you think like, oh my God, I must be an idiot because I don't understand what the hell is going on here. But that doesn't really have anything to do with the overall story. Yes, it's interesting to see how it all plays out in the end and all that, and how the aliens were actually just us when you think about it. So very, very well written, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Just for saying now, The Black Phone, I think, was an excellent horror movie. I have yet to see that movie, to be honest. Probably the best in the last 30 years. I say 30 because if I said any more, it would interfere with Silence of the Lambs. But I also rate The Black Phone 5 out of 5 for its respective horror genre. I think it's cruel to rate movies in the overall movie. They need to be rated to their specific genre. That's an interesting take, I will say. I don't disagree with that take. What I say, and you're gonna see it when it comes to my predictions for Oscars, I rate things on how it affects me. And I rate movies based off of how much I liked it. Not so much of like how it should gel with the audience, with a generic audience, or how it would gel with those who are into these type of movies. I don't think that way. I rate it based off of how it affected me and how it spoke to me. A lot of my predictions for Oscars, you would see that I probably rated them a 4 out of 5. But I also recognize that these are films that other people will take strongly to more than me. So that's kind of like my way of thinking when it comes to my predictions and all of that. So when it comes to rating a movie, it's all about how it affects me. Jester said, did they handle the horror aspect well? Did they handle the suspense of it? That's what really matters to me. Good. Well, that's good. Arnold saying Interstellar is 5 out of 5. Jester says 500 Days of Summer might just be the most realistic depiction of love, but it was just an okay movie. There's some things I would change. I rated 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. I challenge you this, Jester. Rewatch this movie 10, 15 years from now. When you've experienced life more, when you have more experience in relationships and love, and I would love to see your take on it after that, because the way that movie affected me when I first watched it 2 years ago, very different than I think how it would have affected me if I was younger. Just Say Real Pain is without a doubt the best movie of 2024. There's no doubt in my mind about it. The acting from Kieran Culkin was phenomenal. The script phenomenal. Overall, 5 out of 5 stars. A Real Pain was a big surprise for me last year. I was expecting to enjoy the movie, but I wasn't expecting it to like it as much as I did. I gave it 5 out of 5 as well. I was able to see this during the week of New York Film Festival, and I missed my screening to it because I wasn't here. I was attending a convention, working at that convention. So I actually reached out to the studio, the PR person there, to see if I can get a screening for it. And they allowed me to screen it at a very small location in the city, which is something I would never thought I would ever experience. It was like it was like an office in a building, and in the office they had like a small screening room, which was fascinating. And I'm so glad I was able to see it because, man, that movie was so well done. So well done. Now, for Blowout, I think Tarantino was overhyping it way too much. It was a fine movie, but it's not the best movie of all time. I haven't rated it on Letterboxd, but I will get to it. Again, everyone gets affected with different with movies in different ways, right? So it's also timing. It's also where you are in life. That all comes into play when it comes to how you take to movies. Arnold saying Will Smith is not allowed to be there. Is he? Are you talking about the Oscars? He's still banned. I think from the moment that slap happened, the ruling was he was banned from attending the Oscars for 10 years. So I think we're halfway through that ban by now. But yeah, he's banned right now. Jester saying, I hope Real Pain wins an Oscar for either Best Screenplay or Best Actor. I think supporting actor will go to Kieran Culkin. And I think screenplay has a good shot. But I'm not doing my winning predictions today. I'm just gonna do the nomination predictions. So I don't want all of that to be misconstrued and confused. But I strongly do feel like there's a good shot, at least in those categories. But awesome stuff, Jester. I'm so happy you're getting a chance to see a lot of these movies. If you want, let us also know what you thought of The Princess Diaries. I have not seen that movie. I know it's a funny movie, and I think Anne Hathaway is a great actress for that type of role. So I'm very curious what you think of that type of movie. So all right, let us get into. Oh, actually, let me talk about real quick Skeleton Crew. So Skeleton Crew, the last episode aired last week, and I've been reviewing each episode every week on the show here. And I will continue to say this over and over again. Skeleton Crew is a type of show that if I was young, like around the ages 8 to 12, I would be all over. I would fall in love with this show because it is that type of show that has that charm that really caters to that type of audience, to that type of age group, right? It's very cute. It's very clever in its ways. But one thing I found interesting was that the show was really gearing up and gaining traction towards the tail end of the season. The last 3 or 4 episodes were the best episodes of the entire season, especially the last one, with all the action and everything coming to a head, all the things happening, the kids finally coming into their own, taking over. There's this one scene in this episode that I just fell in love with, and it's such an 80s moment. And when the pirate crew was coming in and they were infiltrating at Aden, right? And they're landing their ships and they're starting to like blow people away and take people hostage. The kids are like, we got to try to do something. And KB and I forget who else showed up. They came into the Elephant Boy's room. I feel bad saying Elephant Boy, but they came to his house in the speeder bikes, and they did that very classic bicycle slide. Like when you're skidding and you're coming to a stop, to a halt. I just lost my mind when that happened because that is such like an 80s movie moment. I feel like I saw that same particular scene in The Goonies, in E.T., any of those type of films that had these young kids like going on adventures. That's always been like a staple moment It's like, oh, we gotta get on our bikes and run towards where the things are happening. We gotta go, blah blah blah. Let's go pick up this guy and everything. We also saw that like in Stranger Things, right? Which of course, Stranger Things is an homage to 80s stuff, right? So I loved that moment big time. And just the way it all played out, we get to see more again of Jude Law's true personality, true character, which I thought was great. I love how the kids had to convince the parents to believe them, and now the parents are trying to do what they need to do for the kids. There was that an emotional moment with KB thinking that she may have crashed and may have perished. I knew she was fine. I mean, that was such a very kind of specific moment that we've seen happen over and over again. If she didn't survive, then it would have been like a whole different take on it. But it reminded me of like the movie Daryl. If you remember that movie Daryl about the robotic kid, he was flying the plane, and then he lost control and the plane crashed, and then everyone thought he died, and then they were able to resuscitate him and all that. The last 3 episodes had so many callbacks to me for all of these like movies from the 80s that I was able to enjoy as a kid growing up. You had bits of like Flight of the Navigator in there. It's so many fun stuff that happened in the last 3 episodes that it's a shame that it just ended, because I feel like it was finally finding its ground. It was finally getting its personality, and it was finally getting a hold of what the show was supposed to be. And then it just ended, right? And it's a shame that we had to wait this long in order to enjoy what the possibilities were with a series like this. So if they do make a season 2, it'll be really interesting to see what they explore on that side, and if they could carry the same momentum from this season. And the one thing that always seems to be a problem is that there's always that slow burn, right? There's always that slow couple of episodes that it's really trying to hook you in and really trying to get there. But I think nowadays, like, you really got to be quicker with these kind of like, all right, this is our show. Let's get it. Go, go, go. I get it that there's need for setup, but 4 episodes worth of setup is too much. 2 episodes, okay. The third one, you need to hit us big. Bam. And I felt like it took longer for this to happen here in this one. But I will say, it is definitely probably one of the more enjoyable Star Wars content that we got recently. Even though it's not like a main staple show, it's not something that should be revered as, oh, this is must-watch Star Wars television. It's not. But it was enjoyable. It really was. So if I were to rate the series as a whole, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. I'll be that strong about it. I don't know how other people took to it, but I enjoyed it for what it's worth. I couldn't say that so much for Acolyte. I really, really wanted to enjoy that series, and I just couldn't. There was just too much that stood out to me that was just like, okay, you're trying too hard here, or this doesn't make any sense, or you're trying to change things too much here. I think I rated Acolyte 3 out of 5, but this one's definitely 4 out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, it's the last, 3 to 4 episodes that really, really like hammered home, okay, this is the show. This is what I've been wanting to see. And it was really great to see the progression of the kids too, how they took charge, how they were the ones saving the day, just like any 80s kids movie, Same thing that happened in the Goonies, same thing that happened in E.T. You name it, it's very similar tropes that we saw here. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's my take on Skeleton Crew. Let's see. Jester saying, honestly, The Princess Diaries was surprisingly good. Not like Good Will Hunting good, but it was a fine movie. I would rate it 7.6 out of 10. That's pretty good. Kevin Davis says Lucasfilms will bounce back with Andor and Ahsoka, The Mandalorian, and Grogu film. I hope so. We'll see. They need that Mandalorian to Grogu film to do well, because that's going to shape how their movie division is going to move forward, I think. Arnold saying, I'm still waiting. I'm so depressive. Are you still waiting for that phone call, Arnold? Kevin saying, people still love Star Wars. Star Wars still brings in money. It does. But of course, if you looked at all the discourse online, you wouldn't think that people liked Star Wars anymore. You would think people enjoyed talking badly about Star Wars more than anything. But it is what it is. Like I say all the time, Star Wars has a little bit of everything for everybody. You don't have to like it all, but it's a little bit of everything. At least they're trying. I will say it's more miss than hits as of late, but who knows? Maybe they could turn things around. We'll see. Arnold, I'm sorry you're still waiting. Hopefully you'll get something good coming soon. I know it sucks to wait. The waiting game is terrible. So I know that feeling. So I really, again, fingers crossed that you could hear something relatively soon in regards to that potential job you're waiting for. Excuse me while I have some gunk in my eye. I feel like I'm all out of sorts today. I'm not sure why. So I apologize about that. It happens. Not every day is going to be a perfect day. Right? All right, let's get into our normal topic for the show. To start things off, let's go into our box office breakdown from the weekend. Again, this is the moment of the show where every week I go over the weekend's box office numbers, what was on top, what wasn't, what disappointed, all that good stuff. Any records broken? There's a couple of interesting things. So let's check out the numbers. I'm on the numbers.com, the site I love to go to for all of the stats and data from this past weekend. So before I do that, Kevin's like, I like James Gunn, but he's just trying too hard with Creature Commandos. I didn't think so. I thought I enjoyed that series. I really did. Yes, it's the same concept as Suicide Squad, but you have to kind of look at where James Gunn comes from. He loves telling these kind of unusual ensemble stories, and he loves being over the top. That's just how he is. If you watch him in his early careers when he did movies for Troma, everything was always over the top. And he loves that. You saw a little bit of that in Guardians of the Galaxy also. So what I really appreciated about Creature Commandos was the storytelling and the pacing of that. How we got a sense of every main character's background and what their motivation is. And it made the stakes more meaningful when it really happened. When you look at the overall plot of season 1, it's very simple. It's not that deep. What made it deeper was the exploration of each individual character in there. And as someone who loves character development and who loves storytelling, I really appreciated it for that. So Kevin Davis also says Dune Prophecy is a boring show. I haven't seen it yet. That is like in my queue. I'm so behind with TV. It's horrendous. I feel ashamed of myself. Anyway, so let's go to the weekend box office breakdown here. And coming out number 1, it was the new movie with Keke Palmer, One of Them Days from Sony Pictures. It beat out Wolfman, which I'm actually kind of surprised about. One of Them Days came in pulling in 11.7 million over the weekend. Just to show what it did on Martin Luther King Day yesterday, because it was a holiday here in the States. One of Them Days also came in number 1, pulling in $2.2 million. So overall, it's made around 14 million domestically. So that is, I would say this is a big surprise hit for Sony and for Keke Palmer. What does that say? I think it kind of says that people want to see something that's funny, that's relatable. Does this mean this is a return of the comedy film? No, not necessarily. January is just also a very slow month. Extremely slow. A lot of people like to refer to it as the dumping ground month for bad movies or whatever. I like to think of it as the movies where horror films can strive. That's why I'm really surprised that Wolfman didn't do as well as it did. I also think Wolfman is suffering a little bit because of poor marketing. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But One of Them Days, I have not seen it yet, but I am planning to see it soon. So I want to see what it's all about. But that is the number 1. Number 2, like Arnold brings up, It is too funny, but it is Mufasa. Mufasa continues to make money at the box office. It's bringing people in. I don't know how, and I don't know why. If you look at Monday's numbers yesterday, I don't think we have final counts for everything yet. So we don't know where it stands, but I won't be surprised if it's up there as well. But Mufasa came in second with $11.7 million, $205.9 million domestically so far. Internationally, 384 for a worldwide box office of 590. It is over the $500 million mark already. And it outpacing Sonic, which is crazy to think about. And I'll get to Sonic numbers later. But for a movie that is so meh, it's bringing all of these dollars in. I just can't believe it. I would love to sit outside movie theaters and question people why they chose to watch The Lion King, why they chose to watch Mufasa. I would love to kind of just like interview people. Like, why did you choose Mufasa today? Like, what made you come to Mufasa? I would love to hear what people's thoughts are, because it's amazing to me. And in Disney, the way they look at it, they're not looking at this as, wow, this is a crappy movie, we're lucky that it's making a lot of money. They're looking at it as like we knew it. We knew this was our right decision. We got to do more like this. So what else can we sequelize? What else can we make a prequel out of? Blah, 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 this and that. Crazy, crazy stuff. You know, Bob Iger, he's you know, you got to love the guy for what he can do for a business, huh? So he knows what works for Disney. Coming in third is Wolfman, Universal and Blumhouse, $10.8 million domestically. I don't think it's a very minimal international rollout, $4.8 million international for 17.1. It is Blumhouse though, so I believe the budget for this is usually like under 20,000. Sorry, not 20,000, 20 million. So I'm pretty sure it's going to make its money back eventually. But my surprise on this is that normally horror movies do well in January. And not for nothing, this is a very decent movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I was able to see it during an early screening on Tuesday of last week. I knew this movie was going to be in trouble because the majority of the people that were at this screening were people that would have never went to go see this movie in the first place. I think they were just very excited that they were getting a chance to see a free movie. And the people running the screening were pleading, if you like the movie, please spread the word. Please tell a friend. Please share your reactions on social media. The hashtag is on the screen, blah, 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 this and that. I think they knew that they were in trouble with this movie. And I think it's all due to marketing. I think because it is a lower budget film and it's Blumhouse, they don't like to spend a lot of money on marketing. So I think a lot of people were, one, not aware this movie were coming out. Two, not aware what this movie was about. And I think that's what hurt the chances of this film. Plus, they kept pushing, I think, Julia Garner as like such a main character in this movie. And she wasn't. Her character was very underutilized. You know, it's almost as if it was like a waste for her to be in this movie. And I wanted to see this movie because I wanted to see what she can do outside of Ozark, right? She did this other movie, I believe, last year that I didn't get a chance to see yet. But I really wanted to see this movie to see what she can do because, you know, she was cast in Fantastic Four as, you know, one of the main quote unquote villains or whatever. And you haven't really seen much of her outside of Ozark. And it's so funny because like every time she pops up on screen, I'm just expecting her to lose her shit and start screaming. But she was very demure in this film, you know, and she was like she was like kind of like the victim all throughout, you know, screaming, running away, blah, all this kind of stuff. But outside of that, I thought the movie was well done. They didn't throw a lot of lore in your face. There wasn't any kind of ancient relic that turned this person into what he was. There wasn't like this book that you read the verses to and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I was cursed. They didn't like inundate you with that nonsense. It remained kind of a mystery. in its very simplistic form. And it's kind of one of those like kind of spooky mysteries that, like me, I hate the woods. I get scared of the woods because I always feel like I'm going to get lost in the woods. I'm never going to be able to find my way out. Plus, you never know what's lurking in the woods, right? You always hear noises, cracks, and all this. And it plays off on that very well, where in this area, this thing is there. And the people who live in this area know about it. And they know, don't mess with it, or don't risk yourself in putting in yourself in harm's way of this said thing, or else bad's gonna come. And because of circumstances, they find that to be all true, right? So how do you deal with it? And another thing I loved about this is that the portrayal of the transformation. Like if you watch a lot of these like werewolf movies, they do put a lot of focus and emphasis on how the person becomes that, right? Here, it was so emotional, that journey of transformation. It very much reminded me of The Fly. If you remember The Fly, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, you saw his transition happening. And all you could do is just feel sorry for this guy, of him turning into this creature, into this monster, into this horrific thing. And then you see how it affects people around him. This is very much that same thing. And for that, I really appreciated it for. It was a different, refreshing take on this. Plus, Winnell did such an amazing job with Invisible Man. I think he killed it with this. He's doing so good with these Universal monsters, like type movies, that I think at this point they might as well just have him do the rest of the guys. Do the Mummy, do the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know if you want to do Dracula at this point with Nosferatu out, but you could try. But I think he's doing a really good job for Universal on this. So I'm shocked. I'm hoping that word of mouth will go out there for people to go check this out, because it's not that bad of a movie. It's actually very well done, I think. There are problems that I do have with it. Again, Julia Garner is one of them. But it's definitely not better than Invisible Man. I think Invisible Man is an underrated film. Elizabeth Moss's performance is so underrated. She should have been considered for Best Actress that year. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this movie will do in the next couple of weeks. Because once we get into February, that's when we're going to get hit with some bigger movies. And a lot of movies like this will be pushed along the side. Let me catch up on chats real quick. Mufasa is the worst Disney movie for what I see. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it definitely wasn't, it was not necessary. That's how I will put it. It wasn't a necessary movie. Kevin Davis saying Sony Pictures will have a decent year at the box office with Karate Kid and 28 years later. Maybe. We'll see how people react to these movies and if they're really, really anticipating these movies. Sony, I think they're going to have a challenging year, in my opinion. Arnold is saying, where Endgame came out, I was in the cinema and waited for us to get in and the group for us come out, and a woman came out and said very loudly, Iron Man, why did he have to die? I wanted to hit this. Don't you just love people who like spoil the movie without realizing they spoil the movie? I learned a long time ago, when you're leaving a movie and you're with people, don't have a conversation right away. Wait until you're way outside of earshot to start talking about the movie, because I must have done that when I was younger so many times that people probably wanted to slap the hell out of me too. And I've heard people do the same thing too. So I would get so pissed off, like, shut up, stop talking about the movie. You're not, I haven't yet seen it. So I know that feeling. I definitely know that feeling. Kevin Davis saying Disney's going to keep putting out live action remakes until they stop making money at the box office. Correct. And Mufasa is a great example of that. However, we will see what happens with Snow White, because I do think Snow White is going to be a terrible miss for them. It's going to be a bomb. It's going to be one of those movies that blows up in their face because of all the backlash from that movie, from the casting of Rachel Zegler to her takes on the whole thing, to the whole let's make them real people versus CG, and now they're CG and blah, blah, this and that. That first trailer that we got looked horrendous. It looked laughable. If anything, people are going to watch this movie to hate on it. They're going to watch it to like probably Mystery Science Theater 3000 it and just like comment throughout the whole movie. And you know what? I'm all for it. Again, I cannot speak badly about anything until I finally get to see it myself. And it's going to be interesting to see for sure. Arnold saying Lilo and Stitch will be one and break records. I think that and the live action Moana. The live action Moana is also going to do really well for them. So even though they're going to get a miss with Snow White, I think they're going to get things back when Lilo and Stitch comes out and when Moana comes out. All right, coming in fourth over the weekend was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Even though it's already available on demand, 8.6 million over the weekend, 216.4 domestic. Let's see what it is so far. 2035 international for a worldwide 422.4. Yeah, this movie is not going to hit 500 like Mufasa did, which still blows my mind that a better movie is not doing as well as the Walt Disney driven meh movie. So very interesting there. Coming in fifth place is Den of Thieves 2. Gerald Butler led movie from Lionsgate, 6.5 million over the weekend, 26.1 million domestically so far. Sixth place, Moana 2, really dipping every week. 5.9 million, 442.6 million. However, worldwide, Moana has hit the $1 billion mark. It is a $1 billion movie and joins the $1 billion club. So there you have it. Moana 2 is a bona fide hit for Disney. Coming in seventh place is Nosferatu, $4.1 million, 89.2 million domestically. Worldwide, 156.2. This is a big hit for Robert Eggers. I keep forgetting who's the studio behind this again. This is... I feel like I had the same problem last week when I was trying to figure out who the studio was. Let's see. I think this was Neon or Lionsgate or whatever the case is. Focus Features. All right. I got to find a way to remember that. But this is a huge hit for Focus Features. I'm sure they're very, very happy with it. It's out on demand, premium demand this week. So people are now going to finally have a chance to watch this at home. And I think it's going to do really well at home viewing. So coming in eighth place is A Complete Unknown from Searchlight. This is the Timothée Chalamet movie, 3.7 million, 57.4 million domestically with a worldwide total of 61.5 million. I don't know how this is, how this is performing for Searchlight and James Mangold there, but I don't think this was ever a movie that was meant to be a huge blockbuster, right? But I think this is really the Oscar Beatty award season movie that it was meant to be. And so far, it's looking that it's going to turn out to be that way. Coming in ninth place is Wicked, $3.5 million, 464.5 million domestically. Worldwide, 709.6. Still killing it at the box office. And to round out the top 10, you have Baby Girl, A24, Nicole Kidman, 2 million over the weekend, 25.3 million domestically so far with a worldwide total of $33.6 million. So that is the top 10 from the weekend. Some outliers here. We have The Brutalist, 1.9 million as it's getting released more and more into theaters. Now that the Oscars are coming around the corner and this has a major talks behind it. Also controversy. We'll talk about that when I talk about my predictions for the Oscar nominations. Also, The Room Next Door, Pedro Almodovar's movie, which I really enjoyed. I got a chance to see it at New York Film Festival. Tilda Swinton and Julianne Moore in that. Yeah, that's about it. So curious to hear your thoughts about the box office. What movies did you see or not? Or what are you planning to see in the next coming weeks? This week, upcoming week, we have what's coming out this week? We have 2 movies, I believe, that's coming out this week. That looks interesting. We have a new horror movie. Hold on, let me just look at movie releases. Give me something good. A good website that has this. All right. So this week we have Flight Risk, the latest movie directed by Mel Gibson, starring Marky Mark himself. That's coming out this week. And we have Presents. I believe Lucy Liu is in this. It's a Neon Studios release, another horror movie. Again, see, we have a horror movie or thriller, another thriller. You know, this is the month that horror and thriller usually strive in. So I'm very curious to see how these movies will do moving forward. I'm not expecting major box office stuff, but it'll be really interesting regardless to see how well these movies perform. So Kevin Davis saying Disney going to keep putting out live. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Kevin Davis saying Universal Pictures produce good films, but besides Minions, Jurassic Park, Super Mario Bros., Wicked, most of their films bomb at the box office. Unfortunately, that is true. At least as of recent years, right? So I think they're really counting on Jurassic Park or the new Jurassic World movie to do well this year because they need something big. They need something major. Twisters did okay for them last summer, but I think they were expecting more from that. Arnold's asking me to do a favor. Within reason, I will say that. No, what's up, man? Let me know what favor you want me to do for you. I'll be more than happy to oblige. That sounds very creepy. But yeah. Sorry, guys. My eyes are killing me today. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I think that's better. Have some sip of my coffee. How's everyone doing today, by the way? By the way, it'll be great if you're watching here live. Don't forget to hit that like button. Many of us here will greatly appreciate it. Also, I do apologize again for the earlier technical difficulties with the stream. Don't know what happened with my camera. I think it has something to do with static electricity. I had a feeling once I got zapped by my keyboard. I'm like, wait a minute, this is not good. But we're grooving. We're moving and grooving now. And in a little bit, I'm gonna start my predictions for the Oscar nominations. So, so if you've tuned in for that, it's gonna be coming in about a couple of minutes. Arnold saying, can you watch the trailer of The Blood of Dawnwalker live? It's a game that will be released this year. It's even set near my hometown in Romania. Sure. I can. Let me pull it up first and just do a quick preview of it before I do that. Okay, let's see. All right, this came out a couple like last week, it looks like. Bandai Namco seems to be the publisher of this, which is interesting. So you want me to check out the cinematic trailer? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay. So for everyone who here, you know, just want to keep everyone updated, I'm going to check out this cinematic game trailer because Arnold has requested it. And of course, Arnold is a legend here in the channel and on the stream. So bear with me. After this, I promise we'll get into the Oscar nominations predictions here. But let's check out this trailer for a video game called The Blood of Dawnwalker. Hopefully, I won't get demonetized for this. Oh, it's from the director of Witcher 3, huh?
must be here somewhere.
It does look very Witcher-like. I'll say that.
It's all right.
Okay. So I'm guessing that there's some importance of this child. Oh.
You gave us.
What the hell happened to her face?
Please, sir. She's just a child. Ah, Roderick, remind me. Did I make an exception for children?
No, sire.
No.
Do you have the plague?
That would have been foolish, would it not? They spread the plague just as well as us.
I thought so.
And there's only one way to stamp out this sick.
Oh no, are they gonna kill her?
No! Not just a runner, but a fighter too. Had we met under a different moon, things might have ended there.
Oh, whoa! There goes that guy's leg. Oh, he's a vampire. It's Nosferatu. Oh. It's like the ghost of Genghis Khan? Who's this guy? It's Simon Belmont. Oh! It's the mouth of Sauron. Those guys had a bad day.
Lunka.
Oh, it's dinner time. Yummy, 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 yummy.
My sister. She needs help. Fast. Please, let us pass through. I beg of you.
Yeah, why did they help them?
Please. Please.
Oh. Oh. So is she gonna turn into a vampire too now? I want some more!
How?
I am life. I am death. I am everything in between. I have been watching your little valley. Pestilence, famine, killing. Blood spilt carelessly, like water. Things will be different now.
Oh, okay.
For all of you.
Oh, oh look, we're getting gameplay too. All right. Is this gonna be like a Souls-like game? Or is it gonna play like The Witcher? Blood of the Dawnwalker. Oh, this summer we'll get to see more gameplay. Oh, so this is really like an in-the-works game, huh? All right. All right. Looks very interesting. Look, I'll say this, and I've said this before all the time. It's hard for me to judge a game based off of cinema, based off of these videos, right? Yeah, anyone can put together a great cinematic, right? We've seen this happen all the time. Blizzard is known for doing this back in the day. Square Enix is known for doing this all the time. It looks great. Story-wise, it's very intriguing. So what I'm getting here is that the world is a vampire. Dun, 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 dun. The world is in shambles. Human life, the humans are killing each other recklessly and not, blah, 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 this and that. Chaos. So here comes the vampire guys, and they're like, you know what? You guys are all messed up. You need someone like us to make things right. And we're going to show you the right way. And I guess the rest of the game is basically good and bad, light and dark, blah, 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 this and that, right? That kind of looks like what the story is about. It looks intriguing. And we got very little gameplay that we got there. So it'll be interesting to see more, for sure. I've never heard of this game. It's the first time I'm hearing about it. So this could be a potential up-and-coming game that people are going to be looking forward to. Just checking out some of the comments. I like this one comment here. This is it, the proof that after all these years, I still can be genuinely excited for a game I know almost nothing about. Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of people are, are saying all the same thing. And, people are even saying that they can feel the spirit of The Witcher behind this. And yeah, that is true. It does feel very Witcher-like. That's one of the comments I had when I saw it. It's like, oh, it kind of looks like The Witcher. So, interesting. Well, Arnold, I thank you for introducing me to this game. Because, again, I didn't know anything about it at all. So, something to keep an eye out on, for sure. Arnold says he loves it. Nobody know if it's a good game, but I love the idea. Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be really interesting to see more when they get a chance to show the gameplay stuff this summer. So again, something to look forward to. So awesome. Thank you for that. That was really cool. All right, let's get into our main topic of the day, and that is the 2025 Oscars. Like I mentioned before, the nominations are going to be announced this Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So I will be streaming live my reaction to the announcements. I'll probably go live around 7 a.m. that day so that I can hang out, get myself ready and prepared for the announcements, because they usually happen really quick. And then we'll see what happens. And then I'll, of course, give my thoughts and comments on everything that was announced later that morning after the live stream is done. So, but before that, every year, I love sitting down and thinking who's going to get nominated, what should be considered, all this stuff. I used to do this every year with my friend Blake when we did the Movie Time podcast. Like I said, unfortunately, because of his schedule and all this, we're not able to do that much this year. When I do my live reaction to the Oscars themselves in March, it's doubtful that he's going to be able to join me for that. So it's going to be really, really an interesting year, because last year I felt was a very strong year for movies, but it's a strong year for movies of movies that a lot of people didn't see. I will say that. When you think about things that are being considered for certain categories, like The Brutalist, Anora, these are movies that I'm sure a good majority of generic movie-going people or movie watchers have not yet seen yet. So I'm pretty sure, as always, every year, whenever the nominees are announced, that's when people try to go back and try to catch up and watch all of these. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this year. So before I go into my predictions, I want you to know how I go about my predictions. I take 2 days and I sit down and I scour the internet and I gather all this data and I put together a spreadsheet and I crunch a lot of numbers of all of these things. No, I don't. No, I don't do all that stuff. No, Blake does that. No, not me. A lot of my predictions are coming from my overall feeling because of the movies that I've seen, the performances I've seen. Plus, I do pay a little bit of attention of outcomes of some of the earlier award shows, some of the critic circles, what they awarded, who they said were their favorites, blah, 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 this and that. I put a little bit of attention with the Golden Globes, even though I still think that ceremony is a piece of shit. Makes no sense. But it does sometimes translate to what we're going to see in the Oscars, right? So I do put a little bit of attention on that, but it's mostly of what my gut feeling also based off of things that I've heard and that I've been seeing online in the communities and all that. So that's how I put together my predictions every year. I don't saying, you know me, I always show you nice videos. Don't forget the Chewbacca one. Well, yeah, that was something. This year, as they do every year, certain categories has a short list. So what they do, what the Academy does, is that they provide a short list for certain categories of movies that are qualified for that category. Not every category has that. So that means for these categories in particular, only these certain movies are eligible for nominations and to win an award. So I will look through this, and categories include visual effects, sound, live action short film, animated short film, music, original song, score, makeup and hairstyling, international feature film, documentary short film, and documentary feature film. So there are certain categories that I'm not going to predict today because I have not personally watched a lot of these movies in certain categories. So I feel like I cannot give a pure prediction because I just was not exposed to a lot of these movies. And those categories will be documentary. Any of the documentary categories I will not be predicting today. I'll just wait for the nominees to be announced. Another one is going to be the shorts, like animated short film and live action short film, because I have not had a chance to see any, if at all of them, any of them. So I cannot, again, within good conscience, make any predictions in these categories because it just wouldn't be right. I'm just going to be throwing darts on the wall. And I used to do that back in the day when I used to do Oscar polls at the office and all. And you'd be surprised in how well I can usually guess versus Blake, who would be the one crunching numbers, spreadsheets and all that. And sometimes I will almost equal his same input and output. So, but without further ado, let's get into our first category here. And the first category is going to be visual effects. So like I said, this is a shortlisted category. So let me share my browser here. These are the films, let me make this big so everyone can see, that are eligible for nominations in visual effects. That's Alien Romulus, Better Man, Civil War, Deadpool and Wolverine, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Mufasa the Lion King, Twisters, and Wicked. So what I did is that with every category, with the exception of Best Picture, I've predicted 5 films that could be nominated in these categories. When it comes to Best Picture, I guess 10, because that's the maximum amount of movies that could get nominated every year. So for visual effects, my predictions are Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Dune Part 2, Wicked, Gladiator 2, and Better Man. Now, why is Better Man there? Even though it's a movie I have not seen, it's there because even though I have not seen it, and I have to say, it is bombing big time at the box office. That's one movie I have not covered during the last 2 weekend breakdowns because it's just so poorly performing. At least here in the States, let's look at see Better Man here in the United States. It's not even a numbered rank. Only pulled in $261,000 over the weekend. So far domestically, it only pulled in $1.8 million, which is pathetic. Internationally, however, 11.3. And the reason why, I said this before before the movie came out. Nobody here in the States knows who Robbie Williams is. Nobody. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but most people don't know who he is. But I know he's a big deal in Europe, in London, internationally, he's a bigger deal. So of course, a biopic on Robbie Williams will do well and better internationally than it would here in the United States. However, it does baffle me as to why they would spend so much money in making a biopic in this way transforming him into a monkey, a CG monkey, and thinking it was going to do well. You know, they're losing so much money here in the United States on this movie. I mean, this is just pathetic. However, this movie can get recognized for visual effects because of this little stunt that they did in turning Robbie Williams into this monkey figure and having him be the main character of his own biopic. So I think there's a good chance that the Oscars and the Academy will recognize that. So I think at least in visual effects, it has a chance to be nominated. So these are my 5 entries of nominations. These are my predictions so far in visual effects. Now let's go on to the next short list, and the next short list is sound. These are the films that are eligible for the sound category: Alien Romulus, Blitz, A Complete Unknown, Deadpool and Wolverine, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Gladiator 2, Joker, Folie à Deux, Wicked, and The Wild Robot. Now, the sound category basically is like, how well does sound play, you know, sound effects, blah, 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 this and that. You should already know by now what that means. So my predictions for sound are Blitz, Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, A Complete Unknown, and Emilia Perez. Now, the reason why I have A Complete Unknown and Emilia Perez in there is because Emilia Perez is a musical. And when you have a musical, sound design is very important. And I thought Emilia Perez did a really good job at sound design. A Complete Unknown is based off of Bob Dylan when he does performances, you know, when they, you know, again, Timothy Chalamet, I know it's Chalamet, I just like calling him Chalamet, but Timothy Chalamet sang all of the songs himself. The sound design is very important in films like that. So that's why those two will get nominated. Hands down for me, the number one is Blitz. When I saw this during New York Film Festival, that was the first comment I had when the movie was done. It's like, this movie's sound design is extraordinary. The running around the streets, hearing the crowd shuffling while the planes are flying above them during the Blitzkrieg, hearing the bombs go off, you know, the part in the train station where the water is flooding in, the sound design is so brilliantly done in that film that I'm pretty sure it's going to get recognized for an Oscar, at least for nomination. Dune Part 2 is another great example of that. Amazing sound design. You know, I think that's one thing that people always say about Dune. Visual effects and sound are fantastic. Denis Villeneuve does a really good job in all of his films when it comes to that. So again, very good chances that these two films are going to get nominated in this category. So these are my predictions as far as nominations for Best Sound are concerned. Next category is live action short film. All right, we're going to skip that because, again, I didn't do any predictions for that. Animated short film, we're also skipping that too. Next is going to be original song. So the eligible songs for this category are Winter Coat from Blitz, Compress Repress from Challengers, Never Too Late from Elton John, Never Too Late. That's like his little documentary film that came out. El Mal from Emilia Perez, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, Sick in the Head from Kneecap, Beyond from Moana 2. Yeah, that has no shot. Tell Me It's You from Mufasa the Lion King. Keep in mind, Lin-Manuel Miranda did the majority of the music for Lion King, did not do anything for Moana 2. So keep that in mind. Piece by Piece from Piece by Piece. That's the Pharrell Lego movie. Like a Bird from Sing Sing. The Journey from The 688. Out of Oklahoma from Twisters. Kiss the Sky from Wild Robot. And Harper Will Go West from Will and Harper. So my predictions for original song are El Mal, Emilia Perez. Also from Emilia Perez, Mi Camino. Like a Bird from Sing Sing. Kiss the Sky from Wild Robot. And Compress Repress from Challengers. I do think Emilia Perez has a very strong presence in this category. It's a musical, a surprising musical in it, and a very well done one as well. So I think I won't be surprised if two of their songs will get nominated in this category. As for the rest, These are the songs that I've heard a lot of people talk about online when it comes to movies. So this is just my prediction, just based off the information I've been seeing online, the conversations, that these songs have a great shot at being nominated in this category. All right, moving on to score. The eligible movies for this category are Alien Romulus, Baby Girl, Beetlejuice, Blink Twice, Blitz, The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, Emilia Perez, The Fire Inside, Gladiator 2, Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1, Inside Out 2, Nosferatu, The Room Next Door, Sing Sing, The 6888, Wicked, The Wild Robot, and Young Woman in the Sea. So my predictions for this category are Wicked, The Brutalist, Challengers, Conclave, and Emilia Perez. Score is just the background music, the orchestral music that you hear in these movies. The Brutalist, hands down, has some of the best scored soundtrack in all the movies I saw last year. Conclave maybe is a close second there. Challengers has a great shot because it's, whenever you have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing your soundtrack and your score, you can't go wrong with it. They do such a great job with that stuff. So I think Challengers has a good shot there. Wicked, I think these smaller categories has a great chance for Wicked to be nominated in, for sure. And this is definitely one of them. Yeah. So again, these are my predictions for the movies that are going to get nominated for this category. Next short list is makeup and hairstyling. So the eligible movies are The Apprentice, Beetlejuice, A Different Man, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria, Nosferatu, The Substance, Waltzing and with Brando, and Wicked. Again, straightforward makeup, hairstyling, which movies portray some of the best of those qualities. My predictions for this are The Substance, Nosferatu, A Different Man, Wicked, and The Apprentice. The Substance, if you've seen The Substance, then you know exactly why this is going to get nominated. All the body horror stuff, all the transformations, everything that had to do with that, so well done, and it was all practical. There was no CG in that stuff. Nosferatu, again, one of the things that stood out from that movie is the cinematography, the editing, costume design, and the makeup, for sure. Wicked speaks for itself. You have Cynthia Erivo basically all in green the whole time. It's amazing. The Apprentice, transform Sebastian Stan into a young Donald Trump is a feat in its own, and he looked brilliant in it. So I think they're going to get recognized for that. In A Different Man, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I think these movies have a good shot to be nominated within makeup and hair. Next category we have is, shortlist category, is international feature film. All right, so these are the films that are eligible for this category. I'm Still Here from Brazil, Universal Language from Canada, Waves from the Czech Republic, The Girl with the Needle from Denmark, Emilia Perez from France. Keep that in mind. Emilia Perez, a movie about a transgendered Mexican cartel leader that takes place mostly in Mexico, is being submitted by France because the director is French. Keep that in mind. Germany, The Seed of the Sacred Film, same situation here. It is a movie that takes place in the Middle East, but because of the conflict with the director and his own country, he had to flee his country and team up with Germany in order for Germany to help push his film out. Great stuff. Great stories behind all that stuff. Iceland is Touch, Kneecap for Ireland, Vermilio from Italy, Flo from Latvia, Armand from Norway, From Ground Zero, Palestine, Dahomey from Senegal, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies from Thailand, and Santosh from United Kingdom. So my prediction for this, let's me go, where's my category here? Best International, okay. Here are my predictions. I'm Still Here, Emilia Perez, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, Kneecap, and The Girl with the Needle. Kneecap, because it won recently, I think the BAFTAs, I think it was, that this movie had like huge praise during that time. So Kneecap is slowly getting a big surge in popularity recently. So I think Kneecap has a good shot at least being nominated. I think out of all of these, the big contenders are going to be I'm Still Here and Emilia Perez. I'm Still Here mainly because of the Golden Globes. Emilia Perez because I feel like globally in all circles, Emilia Perez has been highly praised. So I think and Seed of the Sacred Fig, don't shy away from that either, because again, the story behind the making of the film and the story behind it actually coming out is a fascinating one. And sometimes the Academy likes to award for those type of achievements and challenges a director has to go through in order for his art, for his craft, right? The Girl with the Needle, the only reason why I put that there, I have not seen it, but I've seen it being marketed and pushed left and right like crazy. Now, we've seen this happen before in the past, that when a studio spends so much money on marketing for something like this, a lot of Academy voters will think of that as a recency bias thing and will include that in their voting. So this has a good shot to be nominated. I don't think it has a great shot to win anything at all, but at least it'll be included in the nominations. So, documentaries, I said I won't go into that because I haven't had a chance to really look into a lot of those things or watch a lot of these programs, these movies. So I would feel awful in trying to predict something like that. So I'm just going to leave it for the nominations to come out and see what happens. So with that being said, that's all the short-listed categories there. So let's go into the more normal categories, those that we don't have a list to go off on. So this is just going to be based off of what we think deserves nominations throughout the year. And like I said before, when I started going through this, a lot of it is my own gut feeling based off what I've seen and what I've seen the discourse has been online, with some a little, things that I've seen happening in some of the smaller award ceremonies. So production design. This is obviously stagecraft, sets, how everything looks on film. My predictions for nominations are Wicked, Nosferatu, Maria, The Brutalist, and Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, obviously no brainer here. I mean, sci-fi epic with amazing scenery, landscapes, and set design. Denis Villeneuve does such a great job with that stuff. Wicked, same thing. The way they transformed the school, the way you see all the bits and pieces of that, all the sets that are used during that production, great stuff. Nosferatu, another great thing this movie does, along with cinematography and costume and makeup and all. The set designs were brilliant. It really it had that great Gothic Victorian feeling throughout. Really good stuff. Maria, if you haven't seen it, that's probably one of the best things about this movie is the set design. Set design and probably the film editing. So really great stuff there. The Brutalist is another one. To have a period piece from like back in the days of New York, great immigrant story that the main character is an architect. So obviously you're going to have to pay a lot of attention to his designs and things that he builds and all that. So really great stuff. So I really truly feel these are going to be the top films nominated for this category. I could be wrong, but this is it. Costume design. Again, these are about like costumes, clothing, wardrobe, all that. My predictions are Nosferatu, Conclave, Wicked, The Brutalist, and Maria. Every same reasoning I gave for the other categories, I'm giving here. Nosferatu, in order for you to be in that era, in that universe, costumes play a huge part in that. Conclave, everyone to be dressed as these like monsignors and people who are voting for the next pope. Great stuff. Wicked, it speaks for itself. The Brutalist because it's a period piece, and Maria because she's an opera singer, and Maria herself, the person in real life, was very well known for her looks, her wardrobe, and they did a really good job at mimicking all that throughout the film. So I really do think they're going to get recognized for that. Now comes cinematography. Again, this is something that I love about movies, especially when it's done right. The framing of everything, the lighting, how it looks on screen. I think the top nominees for this will end up becoming The Brutalist, Maria, Nosferatu, Civil War, and Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys, which is a movie I haven't talked a lot about. The one thing why I say that cinematography is going to be big for this one is because of the point of view aspect. You go throughout the whole movie through the point of view of the main character. You only see the main character if he's looking at a mirror, or if when they switch the point of view from their friend looking at said main character. So you see a reflection in a window. Everything, your whole journey in the movie is through the eyes of the main character, which has not been done a lot, but I think it was very effective in this movie. Civil War, I love every time. What's this guy's name? He has a new movie also coming out this year. I can't believe his name is not coming to me right now. Alex Garland. Yeah, Alex Garland does amazing stuff with cinematography. That's one of my draws to his movie is the cinematography all the time. So I think Civil War, it might be a long shot, but for me, this is my pick. I'm also bringing up Maria a lot too. A lot of people late last year, a lot of people were talking about Maria, especially Angelina Jolie. She was like one of the top contenders for a Best Actress nomination. That's slowly gone away. It's the hype has slowly died down. But I do think in these smaller categories, a movie like Maria has a good shot. So that's why I'm including it. Maria, for me, I thought was a very well done movie. Even though there are other people out there who might not think the same. But anyway, next is film editing. My predictions are Civil War. Again, Alex Garland is really good with that. Anora, The Brutalist, Challengers, and Emilia Perez. Now, Anora, mainly because of the frantic pacing that happens halfway through the movie and the big switch. And you saw a lot of the frantic cuts in and out of, her time with her lover, and, they're enjoying one thing one time, and then they're having sex in the bedroom another time, and then they're at the club here, and then they're blah, blah, blah. Really, really great editing and pacing of the movie overall. Challengers, same situation there, especially towards the end when you have that back and forth battle on the tennis court. Really great stuff. Emilia Perez, great choreography that has a lot to do with film editing as well. For that movie particularly, really good stuff. So I think these have big chances to at least get nominations here. Now we're going to get into some of the bigger categories. Screenplays, adapted and original. Adapted screenplay, again, just a refresher on what that means. It means it's a screenplay based off of an already existing piece of content. Whether it's a book, where it's a manuscript, maybe it was taken from another screenplay that was like slightly edited and readjusted. Something that already exists, right? So my predictions for this will be Wicked, I'm Still Here, Conclave, Emilia Perez, and A Complete Unknown. I think these have a great shot for adapted screenplays. We'll see what happens. For original screenplay, something that is brand new, that doesn't have any ties to any previous works of art or content, I think A Real Pain, Civil War, Anora, The Brutalist, and September 5 will have a good shot at this category here. If you've seen any of these movies, then you know exactly why I'm including them here. Really great stories overall. Probably some of the best written movies of the year, in my opinion. Really, really good stuff here all around. And same thing with this category too. Some of the best written stuff throughout the year. Wicked is a big surprise to me because remember, I was kind of crapping on it when I just saw like the teaser trailers and all that. I was not thinking that Wicked was going to entertain me as much as it did. And it did. And I think that has a lot to do with the writing there. Also, this may end up hurting Wicked Part 2 because they have to add more stuff and extend that part of the movie. Because if you watch the musical, you know the second part is very short. It's not that long. So what are they going to do to fill in a 2-hour-long movie? I don't know. So it has a great shot to be nominated here. Next year, let's see what happens in the same category when Wicked Part 2 comes out, right? So yeah. Complete Unknown also is not getting enough love, but I think when it comes to at least the writing, and if you watch the movie, you know exactly what I mean. I think this has a good shot of being recognized for that. Jester saying A Real Pain is without a doubt taking home the Oscar. You know what? Out of all of these choices, I would love to see A Real Pain be recognized in this category because it doesn't have a big shot in other major categories, with the exception of supporting actor. But I think it should be recognized at least for this. Arnold saying, "Bro, what happened to Ariana? She's always been like that. She's always been like a stick figure, you know." And it's a Hollywood machine. I'm sure she fell into the whole Hollywood machine about. I mean, look at Nicole Kidman. That's another one that is just so thin. And it's something that I've always said about Angelina Jolie too, where I just think, it'd be nice if they would eat a burger every now and then. Because I do get worried. All right. Now on to some of the bigger categories here. And we're going to start off with Best Animated Feature Film. So my predictions for nominees are Flow, Memoirs of a Snail, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, and that new Wallace and Gromit movie. I don't know the full title of it. Why do I put Wallace and Gromit in there? Look back in history. Every freaking Wallace and Gromit movie gets nominated. I don't care if you think they're good. I think they're crap, in my opinion. I've never once liked any of the Wallace and Gromit movies. But every time there's a new one that ends up getting nominated for Best Animated Feature Film. And without a doubt, we'll see the same thing happening this year. Flow has been the biggest talk as far as animated feature film in recent months. It's been winning awards in a lot of the smaller circuits, in one of the smaller ceremonies. Memoirs of a Snail has been talked about a lot, as well as The Wild Robot. And then arguably the biggest performing animated feature film of last year was Inside Out 2. But not because it's a Disney film, but also had a great story behind it. So I think that has a shot of being nominated. Again, we're not going to be talking about who wins. I'm not giving my predictions on that yet. I'll do that at a later date. But at least for nominees, these are my nominations in this category. All right. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's get into big stuff here. Best Supporting Actress. My predictions for nominees are Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez, Joan Chen for Dee Dee, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Margaret Qualley for The Substance, and Ariana Grande for Wicked. The long shot here is Joan Chen, because Dee Dee has been forgotten by everybody. It's one of that unfortunate situation that we see when a movie comes out way too early in the year. And during that moment, everyone was talking about this movie and everyone was applauding Joan Chen's performance. But as the months go on, no one's talking about it anymore. And I blame the studio behind Dee Dee. They're not pushing it. They're not marketing it. They're not doing enough to kind of put it out there. So I think it is a long shot, but I think it's highly deserved that she gets a nomination for this category. Everything else, we've been hearing Zoe Saldana's name everywhere. Margaret Qualley. Ariana Grande was everyone's big surprise when Wicked came out. Even I said it when I was talking about the movie, when I saw it. I was not expecting to enjoy her performance, and I did. She does really well in these type of roles, in like kind of comedy-like roles. She did an amazing job in this movie. Felicity Jones, only because The Brutalist is getting so much love lately and hate. And we'll talk about that when it comes to the acting categories for male actor. But I think because it's so fresh in everyone's minds, these are going to be surely the nominees we're going to see announced on Thursday morning, with the exception of Joan Chen. Like I said, Joan Chen is a long shot. Arnold, I think you're nuts. I think Arnold is horny right now, everybody. Saying that and by the way, she's an idiot too. If you ever seen like her takes on like politics or social stuff, she's a moron. So, maybe she'll win a what's that Vivid Award? An adult acting award. All right, moving on. Best Supporting Actor. My predictions for nominees for this category are Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Yura Borisov for Honora, Stanley Tucci for Conclave, Edward Norton for Complete Unknown, and Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Again, Guy Pearce only because recency bias. A lot of people are talking about The Brutalist right now. The Brutalist also had the advantage of being one of the last big awards contender movies to be coming out later on in the year, just like A Complete Unknown. But I do think Edward Norton did a really good job in his role. Stanley Tucci is so good in Conclave. Him and John Lithgow are amazing in that movie. That even if they say all of a sudden they announce John Lithgow, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be very happy. But I think Stanley has a bigger shot. Yura for Honora. Not a lot of people were talking about him when Honora first came out. But I think as time goes on, people have really warmed up to him and his performance in Honora. So I'm pretty sure he'll get recognized for that. But I think this big standout, hands down, is Kieran Culkin. Kieran Culkin. I mean, if you are a fan of Succession and you love kind of like that manic, chaotic energy that Kieran Culkin has, he has this same thing in this movie, but there's a lot of more emotion behind it all. And there's a lot of sadness, and there's a lot of, you could tell like he's struggling with something, his character. And he does such a great job in these type of roles. I'm afraid he's going to get typecasted as that person with that personality type of trait, but he does a really good job at it. I'll be honest with you. And one of the greatest things is when Monday Night Raw premiered on Netflix, he was in attendance. I loved seeing him in the front. They didn't put him on screen. His brother was there, Macaulay. They put him on the screen. But I saw Kieran there, and he was like having the time of his life. It was really, really funny to see that. She wants to be a wrestler too? Whatever. Yeah. Maybe Rhea Ripley can put her through a table or something. Yeah, so those are my predictions for supporting actor. Now let's get into Best Actress. So my predictions for nominees in Best Actress are Mikey Madison for Nora, Demi Moore for The Substance, Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, and Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez. Now, before anyone ever asks, before people, they question my choices, yes, I have seen all of these movies. I saw Honora, Hard Truths, I'm Still Here, and Emilia Perez all at New York Film Festival. So I had the leg up on a lot of people when it comes to these performances. I said it to several people in attendance that I was with at my screening of Hard Truths. The movie itself is so depressing, but what made it bearable was Marianne's performance. You laugh every time. You want to cry each time she's on screen, because here is a person that is just in so much pain. So much pain. Like every moment, every time she speaks, there's a complaint about something. She's bitching about something, but it's all coming from the fact that she has not yet fully recovered from the passing of her mom. And she's not happy with her relationships in life, whether it be with her husband, with her son, with her sister, with her friends. This is somebody who is just in a bad space. And she puts it all out there. And the moment she comes to that realization at the end, and you see her break down, oh my God, one of the best performances I ever seen. The same with Fernanda Torres. I thought her performance in this movie was brilliant when I saw it back in October of last year. Same with Carla. Demi Moore, when I finally saw the Substance, I also said, wow, for Demi Moore to come back and do a movie like this, a very risky movie, amazing to see. And of course, Mikey Madison with her performance in Honora is just brilliant. Now, I did include honorable mentions here because I do think Angelina Jolie was the perfect casting for Maria. She embodies that persona as the diva who's kind of losing it, losing touch with reality. And Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. I mean, the chemistry between her and Ariana in that movie is amazing. But it's such a tough category because there are so many great, brilliant performances from female actresses that it's going to be very, very tight and very interesting to see what's going to come out of the nominations here. So these are my predictions, but I wanted to honorably mention these two performances because they were outstanding as well. The two of them, Arnold, you're nuts. You crack me up, man. You're funny. All right, let's move on to Best Actor. So my predictions for the Best Actor category are Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Daniel Craig for Queer, Sebastian Stan for A Different Man. Could also be considered for The Apprentice, but since he had 2 movies out last year, I think they're going to give it to him for A Different Man. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, and Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. My honorable mentions here are Ray Fiennes for Conclave. Brilliant performance, brilliant performance. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of people talking about Nicholas Hoult for Juror Number 2. I think Nicholas Hoult is being talked about for this movie also because he also appeared in Nosferatu, which he did a really great job in that movie too. So they need something to kind of attach him to, right? So I think Nicholas Hoult is going to be attached to Juror Number 2. That's my strong feeling about it. But when it comes to the main predictions here, I think a lot of people would say Adrian Brody has this in the bag. But because of the recent controversy about the AI used in the film to kind of help improve his accent, I think a lot of people are now kind of bashing that suggestion, right? I can see where people are coming from. Using AI to enhance your accent is kind of a cheat, right? But they didn't use AI for his emotional acting. They didn't use AI for his facial expressions. They didn't use AI for how he portrayed himself on screen. And I think that says a lot. I still strongly feel like this is one of Adrian's best performances he's ever done. Probably outside of, believe it or not, an underrated performance of his is The Village. M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. Of course, a lot of people are going to say it was The Piano, right? But this is probably one of his best performances in his career. Same with Daniel Craig for Queer. Even though I didn't appreciate that movie as much as a lot of people did, his performance stood out above everything else. Same thing with Coleman Domingo and Sing Sing. Timothy Chalamet. I think I said this to a lot of people after I saw this movie. Those of you who have been kind of debating whether or not he's a good actor, last year should have showed you what he's capable of with his very serious turn in Dune Part 2 and with his portrayal of Bob Dylan here in A Complete Unknown. He did his own singing. You know, he had the same cadence, the same personality, the same way he carries himself, just like Dylan did. I think he did a great job in that movie. Really did. So, strong performance. And I think Sebastian Stan, very underrated actor. I think it's about time that he gets recognized for something. Last year, 2 great performances. Different Man and The Apprentice. I mean, I would love to see him get recognized. It might be a long shot here, but we'll see what happens when Thursday comes around. Best Directing. Sean Baker, Honora, Brady Corbett, I don't know, for The Brutalist, Jacques Audard for Emilia Perez, Edward Berger for Conclave, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. For me, honorable mentions are Coralie Farget for The Substance, and Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys. Now, I think more people would say that Coralie, I don't know how you pronounce her name. I apologize. Is a better shot than James Mangold, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's James Mangold who's going to get recognized for A Complete Unknown. If I'm wrong and it is Coralie, then I'd be happy to. That's why I included her in honorable mentions. I'm still a little bummed out that we don't have enough female directors represented here. But if you look at some of the top films of last year, yes, they were directed by men. And then Ramel Ross, mainly because, again, that risky choice of doing a point of view perspective throughout the whole film. Risky choice, but I think it was effective. You know, and I see some people saying that that movie wasn't so good. That it's only film critics, you know, and people who attend festivals love that movie. I don't know about that, but you know, I thought it was a brilliant choice. No, I didn't know Sebastian Stan's Romanian, Arnold. Great actor. I'll say this, like, take him out of the whole Marvel stuff. He is an underrated actor, you know, and I like that he's doing more and more stuff outside of Marvel because he deserves more exposure for sure. So yeah, so these are my predictions for best directing. Now, last but not least, let's go into the best picture category. Now, I said it before, there are a lot of great films that came out last year. Majority of them, a lot of people didn't see. But some of them people did see, you know. So, like we've seen in the past years, those that have performed well at box office have been included, you know, but you're still going to get those movies that maybe you only get a chance to see at festivals later on in the year, or maybe now. Like The Brutalist is really rolling out now in January. But here are my predictions for Best Picture. Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, A Complete Unknown, Wicked, A Real Pain, Emilia Perez, Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, and Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, Wicked, those are the movies that are more to recognize their dominance at the box office, right? Especially good movies that dominate at the box office. Deadpool and Wolverine was a better performer out of everything, but you're not going to see them get nominated for anything, really. Denis Villeneuve, again, fingers crossed we're going to get a part 3 with him directing it. It looks like that's going to happen. This might be another situation like Lord of the Rings with Peter, what's his face? The director there. He may not get recognized until the last one comes out, but he's definitely going to get recognized because he did put together an amazing sci-fi film. A sci-fi film that's better than any Star Wars sci-fi films that we got recently. And Wicked, again, Wicked was a phenomenal achievement, right? But I think a lot of people would say the top contenders would be Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, these three, Emilia Perez. You know, when you see everyone's favorite films of last year, whether it's certain critic circles or even some of the smaller award ceremonies that we got recently, these are the big names that you've been hearing. Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez. Those are the big four, right? So without a doubt, they're going to be included in this. Everything else are big movies that have been talked about a lot about and will probably get recognized. You know, again, the way the voting structure works is I think people have a for nominations, they get to list out their top 5 or top 10, and whoever gets the biggest, you know, counts are included in the category. It's some weird algorithmic mathematical thing that they do there, but I do think we're going to get 10 nominees this year, and these would be the 10 that we're going to get. If we get 8, then I would take out Nickel Boys, and I would probably take out Sing Sing. You know, and I think we'll get to see the rest there. But I'm pretty sure we're going to get to see 10. But that's it. Those are my predictions for nominees for this year's Oscars. I'm very curious as to what all of you think. I've been known to be wrong, but I've also been known to be right many times. So I'm very, very excited to see what's going to happen on Thursday morning when the nominees are announced. So again, I will be live reacting to it 7 a.m. Thursday. The nominations are going to be announced at 8:30 with a small presentation. I think Bowen Yang and Rachel Sonnet, Chomay, she was in Saturday Night. They're going to be presenting the nominations that morning. So I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be comedic in a way because Bowen Yang is really funny. And we'll see what happens. You know? So there you go. Those are my nominations. Again, I would love to hear thoughts from all you guys, what you think. Or maybe I missed something. Or maybe you think I'm nuts for something. But I'll be around for like another 5 minutes before I call it a day. Arnold saying, I saw Miller's Girl. Hold on, let me say that again. I saw Miller's Girl yesterday. I couldn't watch it. I found this movie on so many whites unpleasant. Which movie is that one? Are you saying that it's too many white people? Oh, this one. Yeah, this is the one where you get to see Jenna Ortega take it from her teacher, right? Was that scene at least kind of sexy? Yeah, I had no interest in seeing this movie, but I heard it being panned by so many people. I have heard so many people like destroy this movie, saying it's unbearable. I mean, look, it has a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. No sexy, so it's not sexy. Not even to like, let's say, pop it on and just fast forward to that moment. What was really kind of sexy was her turn in X, you know, as like kind of like the introverted, quiet boom mic operator, and then all of a sudden she wants to be a star in the film. I thought that was a sexy turn. You and Mia Khalifa, man. You definitely have you have your types. I'll say that. Also, I know last week we were going over the blacklist, which I found to be a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to do. Depending on what the topics are for next week, I was thinking we can continue that conversation next week. I also would love to do what Star-Lord suggested, and I would love to ask you guys to kind of write a treatment, and we could like kind of rate it and judge it here live on stream. So stay tuned because I think that would be a lot of fun to do here on one of the streams one day. Drink some more coffee. I'm hungry. Arnold says, I only have one crush, and it's Emilia Clarke. I don't know why. Yeah, I remember you talking a lot about her before. Look, we all have our main crushes, right? Like for me, it will always be Natalie Portman. Always. There's just something about her, you know? Plus, I also think she is smart, and she knows how to poke fun at herself. You know, for me, it will always be her. But it's always different for other people. My yeah. There's just something about orange skin and really bad hair that totally turns me on, man. Totally turns me on. Plus, I love it when people dance like this. I mean, those dance moves, oh, gets me moist every time, man. Every time. All right, guys. I think now is a good time to call it for today. Always a fun time. Always a blast with you guys. Arnold, always a blast with you. You know that. I really do hope you get to hear something soon. At the same time, I hope you're also doing yourself a favor and looking at other opportunities. So keep up with that. Don't give up. But yeah, I'll call it for a day. But before I go, obviously, as always, I love to shout out those that were very active in the conversations today. Jester, always a pleasure. Kevin Davis, always a major pleasure. Arnold, you know, we all love you, man. Ficon, before the stream, just chimed in to say hi. Couldn't stay because he had to study. So very, very awesome seeing you guys. And I know there's a lot of you who, you know, you love to just watch and maybe you can't chat. I love you equally as well. So again, I will see you Thursday morning if you're around, reacting live to the nominations as they are announced. So if you're available and you want to check that out, come on by and hang out. If not, I will be back again next week on my regular day, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So until then, don't forget, tip your waitress and your bartender. Turn off your phones at the movie theaters. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Be good. Enjoy your week. You also have a nice day, Arnold. Have an amazing week, everybody. And I will catch you all next time. Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.